In the dark corners of the internet, there is a battlefield you never see, one where wars are fought without bullets, where borders mean nothing, and where a single line of code can bring an entire nation to its knees. Tonight, we enter this hidden world. A world controlled by some of Russia's most dangerous hacker groups. Teams so skilled, so organized, and so fearless that governments across the globe now rank them among their most wanted individuals. These are not ordinary cyber criminals. These are digital soldiers. Their attacks changed politics, crashed economies, shut down power grids, and showed the world that the next global war may not begin with missiles, but with malware. Chapter 1. The Parliament that Fell Silent. Our story begins in 2015, inside the German parliament, the Bundestag. The building stands like a fortress in the center of Berlin, protected by layers of security. But even a fortress can fall if someone opens the gate from the inside. That's exactly what happened when an assistant in the parliament received a simple email. It looked official, even urgent, supposedly from an international organization. The assistant clicked the link without thinking. That single click invited one of the most sophisticated cyber groups in the world directly into Germany's political heart. The group was known as Fancy Bear, believed to be linked to Russia's military intelligence. Once inside, the hackers moved silently. They didn't trigger alarms, they didn't destroy files. Instead, they explored the digital hallways of the Bundestag like professional thieves who already knew the layout. For weeks, they slipped deeper into the network, quietly collecting emails, documents, and confidential political discussions. By the time German authorities discovered the breach, nearly 17 gigabytes of sensitive data had already been stolen. The Bundestag attack wasn't just a cybercrime. It was a signal, a demonstration that even major governments could be infiltrated through a simple trick. And it warned the world that political institutions were now targets in a new kind of war, one fought through keyboards instead of weapons. Chapter 2. The Hack That Shook an Election. A year later, in 2016, the world witnessed an even bigger digital earthquake. The United States was heading toward one of its most tense presidential elections in history. While millions focused on public debates, campaign speeches, and polls, a quiet operation was unfolding in the shadows. The Democratic National Committee, the DNC, stored private strategies, research, and internal communications. To Russian cyber units, that data was a goldmine. Two hacking groups, Fancy Bear and Cozy Bear, began targeting DNC employees using spear phishing emails. Some were so convincing that even trained staff members fell for them. One such email claimed a password was compromised and needed resetting. It looked real. It looked safe. The employee clicked the link, entered their password, and unknowingly handed Russian hackers direct access to the political core of America. Once inside, the hackers copied emails, internal documents, and sensitive reports. But the real shockwave came when those stolen materials were leaked to the public. News outlets published them. Social media turned them into fuel for endless debates and arguments. No matter where someone stood politically, one thing was clear. The leak changed the tone of the election. It influenced conversations, shaped opinions, and damaged trust. For the first time in history, a foreign cyber operation played a major role in a US election. It showed that in the modern world, a single hack could shift political landscapes without a single soldier crossing a border. Chapter 3. The night an entire country went dark. Most cyber attacks focus on data, stealing it, leaking it, or manipulating it. But in late December 2015, a different kind of attack unfolded in Ukraine. It was cold, snowy, and families were preparing for the holidays. Lights glowed in homes as people tried to escape the freezing weather. Then, at exactly 3:30 p.m., everything went dark. Entire neighborhoods, towns, and regions lost power in an instant. Inside Ukraine's power control rooms, operators stared in disbelief as their systems were taken over. They watched helplessly as their cursor moved on its own, menus opened and closed, and circuit breakers switched off. Someone far away was controlling their infrastructure. Investigators soon learned the truth. The attack had been launched by a Russian-linked hacking group known as Sandworm. This wasn't random. For months, the group had infiltrated the grid, studying it carefully. When the attack began, they didn't just cut power. They disabled backup systems and sabotaged call centers, so citizens couldn't even report the outage. More than 230,000 people were left in freezing darkness. It was the world's first confirmed cyber attack to shut down a power grid. And it revealed a terrifying new reality. cyber warfare could now reach directly into the physical world, disrupting electricity, water, transportation, and other essential services. Chapter 4. The malware that broke the world. If the Ukraine blackout was a warning, then the NotPetya attack in 2017 was a full-scale disaster. It began in Ukraine when businesses started receiving a strange ransomware message. Computers were locked with a demand for payment. At first glance, it looked like ordinary cybercrime. But victims soon realized something was wrong. Even those who paid never got their files back. The malware didn't behave like ransomware, it behaved like a weapon. Instead of encrypting data, it destroyed it permanently. Within hours, NotPetya spread far beyond Ukraine, ripping through computers across Europe, Asia, and the United States. Global companies were suddenly blind. Shipping giants couldn't track cargo, factories shut down, pharmacies lost access to medical records, even major airports experienced chaos. In one of the world's most shocking examples, an international shipping company lost its entire network across 130 countries. In a single day, NotPetya caused more than $10 billion in damage. Later investigations pointed to the same group responsible for the Ukraine blackout, Sandworm. But unlike previous attacks, NotPetya didn't stay contained. It escaped into the world like a digital wildfire, affecting anyone using a certain software supply chain. The scale was historic. NotPetya proved that a cyber weapon, once released, could grow beyond its target and cause global destruction. It demonstrated how digital systems were interconnected and how vulnerable the world had become. Chapter 5. The Future of Cyber Warfare. When you look at these 4 attacks, the Bundestag breach, the DNC hack, the Ukrainian blackout, and NotPetya, a clear pattern emerges. These were not random crimes or isolated incidents. They were carefully planned operations targeting political systems, civilian infrastructure, and entire economies. Each attack pushed the limits of cyber warfare further, proving that the next generation of conflict would be fought across networks, power grids, software supply chains, and communication systems. Today, the tools available to hacker groups are even more advanced. Artificial intelligence is becoming part of cyber weapons. Deepfake videos can manipulate public opinion. Critical infrastructure like satellites, water systems, and transportation networks are now targets. The battlefield is expanding, and the threats are evolving faster than governments can respond. The question is no longer whether another major attack will happen, it's when, and how prepared the world will be when that moment arrives. Cyber warfare has already changed elections, shut down cities, and caused billions in damage. But the next attack might be even bigger. It might target hospitals, financial systems, or communication networks. It might affect millions of people at once. One thing is certain. The world has entered a new era of conflict, and the front lines are invisible.